Hey guys, welcome back to Deadman110 and welcome back to another wrestling news video. This will be the final one that I need to do for a little while in terms of a wrestling video until we get to the predictions of Money in the Bank come later at the end of this month. That is kind of when I'm planning on doing that, but I'll probably do it maybe a little later because I usually like to do it at the last minute because of, matches that tend to be announced on WWE.com and all that, but it's not about Money in the Bank. That's obviously later on. This video is more about Hell in a Cell and the courageous, and I repeat, courageous effort that Cody Rhodes went through in his match against Seth Rollins inside of Hell in a Cell this past month. And Day Day is here for the first time, and yeah, he said hi in case you didn't hear him. And yeah, we're basically going to be talking about it and, etc. And I'll be pausing the video left, right, and center if I feel the need that we need to talk about certain things. So, yeah, without further ado, now that Day Day can see my screen supposedly, and you guys can see it, and everybody else can see it, including me, technically, we're going to now get straight into this.
So I wasn't planning on making a video on Hell in a Cell 2022, but what the fuck did we just watch?
So, putting this into perspective, guys. So, Cody Rhodes was doing a workout, right? So, he was preparing for his match against Seth Rollins. It wasn't much. It was, a simple workout than anybody else, except it was obviously for Hell in a Cell. So, there had to be obviously a little bit more to that. But while he was doing that, he managed to tear his pec clean off his bone. And that creates basically the gnarly and disgusting colorization or decolorization in his arm, in his pec, obviously. And that is basically the blood that's going all around him from that pec being torn off. There's a video that I've watched on this whole shindig, and it goes a lot more further in detail. If I can find it, then I will put the link to it. I won't necessarily react to it or do a video on it in this video at the same time of doing this video or watching this video, but you can definitely expect me to put the link in the description box of this video that will send you right to that video where you'll be able to learn more about the extent of his injuries fully from somebody who obviously would know what the hell he's talking about. So, in case you obviously have no idea what I'm really trying to reiterate, but yeah. So, that is basically the injury that you see before you, is what is on him at this moment. Day Day, do you want to say anything about it?
Yes. In my opinion, I don't. Well, I think that the whole injury could have been avoided. I mean, I understand that Cody had to train for the match, but I'm saying he probably could have went a little lighter, and then maybe the injury would have never happened. But yeah.
I mean, in the end, he did put For the Love of the Game, which was the whole reason why he went out of his way to go into the match anyway. But even then, like, excluding what he said on Twitter and everything, like, his pec was torn right off. Let's not kid ourselves. Like, it was torn completely off. So whether it was a good idea to go into the match with that injury or not, there wasn't really anything else that could possibly happen to it that hasn't happened already, because it was torn completely off. The only thing that would have judged on whether or not the match would have happened was if Cody could deal with the pain and how much pain he could endure during the match with the injury in play. But Cody was like, stuff this, I'm going to go into the match anyway for the love of the game, because, well, that's how much he obviously loves what he does, which, hey, I don't think he should have done it because, well, for obvious reasons, but then at the same time, how can you not respect him for it? Like, jeez, like literally over my nearly 10 years of watching wrestling, I have never ever had a more uncomfortable experience in watching a wrestling match than I did watching this match. Like, it was only because of the storyline and how great the match was that I kept on watching. Had the storyline been trash going into this and the match would have sucked during it, I would have turned off right away, because that is just gnarly. Like, you're seeing it here, folks. Like, it is gnarly. And of course, many people have compared it to Triple H's Tom Peck that he got many years ago in the match against the Brothers of Destruction. But this is this is somehow worse than that, if you can even believe that, because it's not like Triple H's was all fun and games, because that wasn't particularly great either, but this is even worse. So therefore, yeah, it was uncomfortable to watch in a big way. But anyway, need to obviously go more into the video, or this video is going to be a longie, and I would rather it don't end up being an hour long video, but at this stage, who knows how long it's going to be.
Rhodes just went inside a Hell in a Cell match with his arm looking like this. This man looked like he was about to turn into Venom any second. And yo, I was watching, and as soon as he took his jacket off, my dropped to the floor. It was disgusting.
I couldn't believe it. I literally couldn't believe it. Like, it was honestly, I don't know what to tell you, but we're gonna obviously move right along into this, because obviously I've been explaining this for most of the video rather than watching the actual video. But either way, moving into obviously this video further,
I can't. When his jacket came off, I was like, what is he doing? Why is he in the ring? Can we please get this over with? And I was like, what the hell are they possibly going to do? And yeah, they just casually proceeded to have a full-on match. But no, not just any match. No, not just a chill match.
yeah, they were not having a chill match by any means necessary. Like, this is a match that Dave Meltzer, yes, Dave Meltzer, I never thought I would say his name on my YouTube channel ever, but yes, Dave Meltzer had be 5 stars. And that is the first ever WWE, well, not first ever, but first ever, like, WWE main roster match in a long ass time to ever get that 5 stars. Many, many, many matches over the past 11 or so years or whatever have been near that goal. Many. But none have been able to get at it yet. None. And here's obviously where I forward you on to, I guess, Day-Day's take on what I just discussed. So you go right ahead, Day-Day, and obviously say your thoughts on what I just said and etc.
Okay, so in my opinion, I feel like Dave Meltzer did do a good job, even though people in the wrestling community does give him a lot of bad press around his name. I mean, sometimes he does come out with inaccurate information, but I agree with his statement on this match. This match truly was 5 stars. That they both left it in the ring. Like, for instance, Cody Rhodes, he didn't have to come out and do the match, but he still did it because that's what he loved, and I admire Cody for that. Seth did his thing too. He also left it out in the ring too.
Yeah, like,
They both put on the clinic. You can't say that this match wasn't I'd say top 5 of this year already.
this could, no joke, end up being sorry about that cough, guys, but yeah, this could, no joke, and I mean legit, no joke, be the number one, like like the number one, match of the year this year. No joke. This has a very, very good chance of being that way because you've got a guy who didn't have to go into the match, who had a torn pec, and who was practically wrestling with one arm, literally with one arm, and he just casually proceeded to have like a 34-minute match, and it still be amazing. And Seth wasn't no slouch either. He did his due. He did the whole like 900 yards. He did the whole, like shoot him down, kill him up kind of regime. Like he went out there and he did his thing. Like he was playing the heel very, very well with the whole Dusty Rhodes mocking thing, and then him wearing Cody's robe. Well, I say robe, but jacket. And then obviously having the Dusty Rhodes spots kind of strap and everything, and using it as a weapon. Like, he played his part very, very well. Like, extremely well. So, credit to Seth, obviously. So, yeah, both of these guys carried this match without a shadow of a doubt. And it was obviously match of the night, undoubtedly. Nothing was even close to that. Nothing. Apart from the women's match. But even then, that's not even close. Like, no offense to Asuka, Bianca, and Becky, but I mean, the guy went in there with a torn pec. I mean, you can't compete with that alone on a pay-per-view full of matches. You just can't. There's no way. And then you take into consideration the fact that he just casually puts on a 5-star classic, and his opponent was obviously no slouch either in the form of Seth Rollins. So, yeah, it was undoubtedly match of the night, undoubtedly, and wildly deserves 5 stars for being that way. Like, if somebody didn't give that match 5 stars, then they need help. They need serious help. I don't know what they were watching, but as far as I'm concerned, this match is 5 stars, undoubtedly. Like, for the fact that Cody went in there with a torn pec alone, and then 34 minutes later has easily and possibly match of the year of this year. Like, you can't compete with that. There's no way. But either way, you obviously say your thoughts, Day on what I obviously just said.
Well, you're not wrong. You're well. I completely agree with you because Cody is one of the best talents this generation have ever seen. You can't say that. Like you can't say that Cody Rhodes is like a slouch guy. Because I mean I understand how some people fell out, like kind of stopped believing in Cody after he went. Wait, I have a question.
Fire away.
Am I allowed to mention AEW?
Go for your life. I've done it, and it hasn't bothered the hell out of me.
Okay, so okay, so I agree that people said that he was underused when he kind of underused when he debuted at AEW, but me watching him back then in AEW, I kind of felt the same way too. But now that he's back in WWE, it's like that he actually found where he like truly belongs. I when he first came back to Raw, he said he left to find himself and all of that. But but yeah, Cody's one of the better superstars in my opinion.
Like we're not even taking into account that his father passed away, like, not even a year before Cody would eventually get released. Like, we're not even taking into account of that. So, obviously, when you take into account of that, and then the fact that Cody said that he was 1 foot out of the door at WrestleMania 32, which was the last time that WrestleMania was held in Dallas, by the way, which I even said that in my WrestleMania review, so a nice little callback to that for anybody that, loves callbacks, so yeah, you're welcome. But yeah, so based on that, yeah, so he said that, and obviously I fully believe that, because he was being treated like a joke, like, pretty much the whole way through that match, but obviously the whole way through the Stardust character, pretty much, because that's kind of what it was. Like, sorry to break the bad news, guys, but that's kind of what it was. But yeah, so based on that, I can fully understand that he needed to find himself, because I mean, a lot was going off, in his life, and then obviously in the end he builds a frigging company and then comes back and is now, well, like this, and is basically just running-ish, like, just running the game. Like, sure, he won't be running it for now because, well, he's injured and he's also had surgery on said pec as of Thursday a couple of weeks ago or whatever. But yeah, so obviously he's not running the game now, but yeah, you guys obviously get what I'm saying. Like, he's at his peak, like I said during the WrestleMania review. Like, there's no doubt about it. Like, he is at his peak. And obviously, Seth is arguably at his peak, but I would say that his best moments were when he was running around with the Waterweight title when he was a heel in the Authority, but that's just me. But that was back in 2015, of course, and also 2014 before then, but yeah, that's just me. But obviously some people do believe that Seth is also in his prime, which I can believe that, but also you got to keep in mind of that WWE Championship run that he had in 2015 and such things of that nature. Like, that was also kind of a prime moment for him during that time, as in he was kind of running-ish even then. So yeah. So long story short, like, both men in their primes, like, yeah, they're literally at the best that they've ever been, like, literally. And yeah, moving on obviously into the video more, because I would obviously say, like, what's your opinion, Day Day, but kind of got to get through this video.
Yo, it was a match that Dave Meltzer called one of the most compelling matches in wrestling history. This maniac was in the Hell in a Cell having a full-on match. You had tables, he had kendo sticks, into the cell, weapons, sledgehammers. Yo, I am speechless, okay? For a guy who's about to make a video, trust me, I am still speechless. I don't know what I'm saying. There's no script, there is nothing.
Like literally, had I, watched Hell in a Cell, and had I been able to, do this video a lot more sooner, I would have felt the same way. Like, literally, how do you make a video of something like this and expect yourself to, obviously say what you thought and etc., because that's a really, really tough thing to do. So, obviously, credit to Wrestling Gifts, obviously, and I'm also obviously going to give credit to myself, because, I mean, it's not like we're that far removed from when it happened. I mean, it's only been, like, 12 days ago, I think, since that happened, or I might have gotten it wrong, but I think I'm right in saying that. So, based on that, even like 12 days removed, it's still quite a big deal. But yeah, you can give your view on what I just said, Day Day, and then we'll try and go back to the video after.
Okay, so wait. So did you watch Hell in a Cell?
Hell yeah. I mean, if I hadn't, then we wouldn't be doing this.
No, I mean, like, cause I was tripping, cause I thought you said that you didn't watch it. I was tripping.
Well, I was tempted to turn it off right when I saw the injury, because it was like, this was too much, but the storyline in the match itself was just so damn good that I just couldn't.
Yeah. Okay. So I agree with what you just said. When you said that I gotta think. Okay, but yes, okay. When it got to the point of the match where they started bringing up, like when they started bringing out the, the weapons and stuff, I kind of got scared for Cody a little bit.
Like when Seth was jamming that kendo stick in, that was when it was like top notch, hard to watch. Like literally, that's cringe-worthy stuff. Not in the way like it was bad. Well, it was bad, but it wasn't bad. But it was kind of in the way of like, ew. Like you kind of had to grit your teeth in that moment. In any case. But yeah, having said that, and obviously what Day Day said, we're gonna obviously continue on with the video. So let's get a rolling.
I don't know what to say. I genuinely haven't felt so uncomfortable watching a wrestling match in a long time. I have seen wrestling death matches that made me feel better than this match. Yo, I have seen people die on the internet and I was like, alright, cool, but for some reason this was genuinely one of the most wildest, most insane things I've ever seen in wrestling live. There was no need for this man to go in this match and wrestle. Absolutely zero need.
Exactly.
And anyone in there any more than wrestled. He went out there and put on a classic, and I feel so weird about this because on one side I'm like, yo, this isn't good. We shouldn't be cheering for this. We shouldn't be encouraging this. I feel guilty.
Exactly. Like that's the thing with us wrestling fans. It's like we can say that like, oh, this was so honorable and blah blah blah. But the brawl with True Fit is this also wasn't necessarily good in some ways because it's like he in some cases shouldn't have been out there, but it was obviously his own choice, so it makes the whole situation kind of irrelevant anyway. But I mean, obviously people have heard about all like the dark side stuff to do with wrestling, whether that's, I mean, I'm not going to point out all of them because, well, we might be here a while, but either way, like you guys obviously know all about that if you obviously are wrestling fans that are watching this video, which I assume you are, because obviously if you're not, then I don't entirely know what the hell you're doing here. But either way, having said that, yeah, so obviously you guys obviously know the deal with the dark stories of wrestling, and then you put that onto the match, and it's like, he shouldn't have really been out there, but like I said, it was his choice, so our opinions are kind of invalid at that point when it comes to the negative side of it. But obviously the positive side of it is the fact that people have gained so much respect to this son of a you-know-what. Like, literally people have gained respect for him all over the globe, including me and Day Day. I can speak for myself and Day Day on this one, that we've gained respect for Cody, even though we had that before then, technically. Like, it's a confusing one, but then it's also like, it's also not that hard to, I suppose, unravel, but then it also is, because like I said, you've got all these dark side moments of wrestling. I mean, like, there's even a YouTube channel type show thing called Dark Side of the Ring, and I mean, you hear all these dark stories and everything to do with wrestling, and then you watch Cody do something like this, and it's like, that's only gonna add on to the premise. Like, literally, that is only gonna add on to it. But then at the same time, you can't really do much but respect the guy, because, well, he went out there and did something that I don't think 99% of the roster could do. Like, mostly. Like, I don't think. And furthermore, if all that wasn't enough, and this isn't discrediting anybody who's ever wrestled in a wrestling ring ever. This is not discrediting any of them by a long shot. But, yeah, so having said that, you obviously have Cody do stuff like this, and it's like, it's honorable, but then it's also, is it, like, is it really a good thing? Like, do we really want to be Like, do we really want to be encouraging this? Like, especially if obviously you're like a kid viewer as well, like, because obviously WWE has their stuff be PG now. So obviously, imagine like the kids that are like, I don't know, like 7, 8, 9 years old or whatever. Like, would you want them to go around doing stuff like this when maybe they get into a wrestling ring like with an injury like what Cody has? Like, it's a tricky thing to really unravel in many ways. And here's obviously where I bring you to Day Day's point of view of what I just said. So you go ahead, Day Day.
Okay. Okay, so I agree with what you just said because I I think after this match, because I've been had respect for Cody since 24, like since before he got released. Because
Mm.
being fair, 2014 was when I actually started back watching wrestling. So that's when, like I've been had respect for Cody. I mean, but I mean I understand he shouldn't have been out there. It was a lot of people. I know it was probably I know Brandy was probably telling him, hey, you shouldn't go out there. You know, but he still went out there just to put on a show for the fans because that's all Cody Rhodes cares about. Cody Rhodes' passion for wrestling goes far deeper than I think any of us could ever know.
Like this is pretty much a redemption story arc. Like this is pretty much what this return has turned into. Like you 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 think of Edge and how he had to wait 9 long years to return back to the company, and he was on his redemption story arc. Sure, it didn't have necessarily a happy ending to it, but he was on that journey, and we were with him every step of the way. I mean, even during the hard times where it was like the pandemic era of WWE, like we were still there. We were still fairly loyal, I would say, a lot of us to his story, even if we were struggling because of the hard times of COVID, obviously, as well as obviously the stuff to do with the fans obviously not being in attendance, even though we had the Thunderdome as well. Like we still stuck by him on this journey, and with Cody, it's no different. It's just more easier to do in some aspects because the fans are back. So obviously there is that feel to wrestling again, which I spoke about quite aptly last year when it came to some of the stuff to do with like Money in the Bank last year and SummerSlam. Like it's nothing that I've obviously not said before, and based on that, yeah, that obviously brings us to now, where obviously we're seeing Cody embark on his journey, and obviously that never was to do with like retiring and then coming back after a bundle of years. This was just simply him trying to find himself, considering that he didn't have he had an alright first run, but he didn't really he didn't really become the star that I think people really figured he could be. And then you just got him just wilding out in 2022 in his prime, and he's wrestling with a torn pec. I mean, like, yeah, that's an improvement if ever I've seen any improvement on a superstar ever. Like the Cody Rhodes of many years ago in his first run wouldn't have done that. The Cody Rhodes of now obviously has done that. So, yeah, you can tell that there's been obviously a change in Cody apart from his hair turning blonde. Like you can easily tell. It's no joke. And yeah, we now obviously move into the video more so, and obviously once the next part of the video comes that I feel like we should talk about, I'll get Day Day's point of view on what I've just been saying. So obviously be ready, Day Day.
Okay.
for cheering for this, for getting excited about this. Like, this isn't healthy. This is the dark side of wrestling that is not good. This is the wrestling disease, if you want to call it that, at its best. But on the other hand, high key, this is what makes legends. And after tonight, after tonight, no matter what happens, Cody Rhodes.
Yeah, Cody Rhodes is going into the Hall of Fame when he hangs up those boots just for that performance alone, without a shadow of a doubt. I don't care what anybody says. You could be Dave Meltzer, you could be Wrestling Days, you could be whoever the hell. Like, I don't care who the hell you are. Like literally, he's going into the Hall of Fame one way or the other for that performance alone. Because, like I said, nobody, and I mean nobody, could put on the performance like he did, with the extent of his injuries being the way that they were in a high-profile match such as this. Like, literally 99% of the roster don't even hold a frigging candle to what he went out there and did. Not even close. Not even close. And that's no disrespect to, obviously, the other talent in wrestling, obviously, but, I mean, when have we ever seen a guy, first off, get a torn pec before a match, and then proceed to wrestle with said torn pec, and casually put on a 5-star 34-minute match? Mostly. Maybe it might have been 29 or whatever minutes, but either way, you get my point. Like, we've never seen this before, and we will never see it again. Believe me. Like, I doubt during my time of living and my time as a wrestling fan, 10 years or more years onwards, like, we will never see this again. Never, ever. Like, never, ever. And, yeah, having said that, I'll bring you over to what Day Day thinks of that and the other thing that I said, if you can remember it.
Yeah. Okay, so I think I get what you said about Cody Rhodes. Well, Cody Rhodes going into the Hall of Fame when he does hang up his boots, because he's done so much for the company, and plus that match that he had with Seth and Hell, that added more on to his list of list of matches and accomplishments. Cause cause who else do you know that can wrestle with the torn pec? Do you think that Reigns would have did it? Do you think that Lashley would have did it? Hell, do you think that what's that man name? Do you think that let's just say for instance, do you think MJF would have did it? Do you think any of them would have did it? No, exactly. I don't think none of them would have did it. All of them would have took time off, and but and yeah, that would have just been that. But Cody, he's different. He actually took time out to actually still still wrestle the match ahead himself, and I applaud him for it. And also, like you said about Edge, how we were following his return story back in 2020, I feel like I feel like that. Okay, I feel that we're doing the same thing with Cody, except we're doing it on like a much higher level. I mean, I agree, and I agree with what you said also about his return ending not being good. Like Edge's return ended not being good, and I hope that doesn't happen to Cody too. I hope that Cody is able to win either the WWE Championship or the Universal Championship, one of the two. Okay, I'm done.
I mean, granted, there is still time for Edge. He can still, obviously, win the title that he never lost, in inverted commas, because technically it was the World Heavyweight Championship. Just saying. But obviously, seeing as that belt's obviously retired, although they really, really should bring it back. But either way, like, seeing as that title is retired, obviously, they've got to make out that it's like the Universal Championship or whatever that he never lost. When that title didn't even exist when Edge was there and retired. Like, so obviously they've got to make that out and obviously let you believe, but obviously last time I checked we weren't stupid. But either way, like either way, it may sound like I'm obviously throwing shade like on WWE for doing that, but in retrospect I'm not. I'm just simply saying it how it was and is. But long story short, yeah, Edge has still technically got time to do it. It just has been put on hold for the time being because obviously we saw him as a heel and then Judgment Day turned on him, which was one of the most biggest plot twists of this year. Possibly the most biggest plot twist of this year, and could probably go down as a shocking moment of the year this year, probably. I think. So, yeah. Having said that, there is still time for Edge, obviously, to do just that. It just has been put on hiatus for now. But either way, moving back along to Cody, obviously, because that's where the whole video is centered around.
Cannot wrestle another match for the rest of his career. This moment will live on forever. This shit will be in like every single video package for at least the next 5 years. Like, yo, he wanted to leave a mark before the match. He said, for the love of the game. Well, yo, here you go. This is it, man. This was like, I was about to say this is like his flu game. Nah, man, this is much more than a flu game. Yo, we gotta call this the Cody Rhodes titty game at this point. I am convinced.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Without a shadow of a doubt. And also, to touch base, guys, it was even wounded more after the match. And not only that, he had pictures on Instagram showing that his entire arm near his wrist region, I can't really show you because, well, either way, like, you get what I mean. You can articulate what I'm obviously saying, like, literally near his wrist is where the blood ends of that broken or torn pec. That is literally where it ends, and that is literally what he put out on Instagram after the match, like several days after the match or whatever. So it was even worse after that match. So probably because he did that match. I don't know, because technically it couldn't have gotten any worse, because that's why he was in there in the first place. But still, like, long story short, pardon me, guys. Long story short, that's basically what it looked like after the match. And here's where I turn you to Day Day, where he says his whole thoughts on that whole shindig.
Okay. So I saw the I did see the picture on Twitter.
Oh, so it wasn't Instagram, my bad. But yeah, go ahead. Or is that all you were gonna say?
Yeah, actually.
I thought it would have been a lot more long-winded than that, but never mind. Moving on then.
Convinced that Cody Rhodes is actually Perk Angle's son, not Dusty Rhodes. And
I mean, he's not wrong. I mean, look at what Kurt Angle did in TNA. Like, God, we're just pointing out every single friggin' promotion at this point. We might as well start pointing out friggin' New Japan Pro Wrestling or WC friggin' W at this point. But point is, like, Kurt Angle in TNA, thingy, he was steroided to beyond, literally. He was doing moves that don't even make any sense, that he should not have been doing. He was literally on crack for about 99% of his matches, and just literally carried TNA for the next load of years. And I can see why Wrestling disbelieves that Cody is possibly Perk Angle's son, not Dusty Rhodes. Obviously it's a joke, because that's not true, obviously, but you can definitely make believe of yourself. You can definitely fool yourself into thinking that after the performance that Cody put on, and after the performances that Kurt Angle put on in TNA. So, yeah, that was definitely a TNA Kurt Angle level performance by Cody Rhodes. To put that in its simplest form.
I don't know, this was just insanity. He had the performance of a lifetime. He legit became an all-time great in my eyes just from this match, but it's so bad. It's so like, there's no need for this, and I guess that's the debate, right? But either way, this match, without a doubt, in my opinion, is a 5-star classic. For better or for worse,
yeah, this will definitely be debated for literally the rest of time. Like, I have no doubt about that. If the Undertaker streak is still being debated to this day, like who should have beaten him at WrestleMania, I can't speak anymore. Who should have beaten him at WrestleMania and whatnot. If that still gets debated to this day, then this for sure will still be debated to this day. 100%. Like, you can't disagree with me on that one. Like, come on, that's just a fact.
This match is a 5-star classic. This match had everything from the beginning when Seth pulled up in Dusty's gear to the reveal of the injury and how the crowd was so dead. They were so in shock and they're so uncomfortable. Like,
yeah, I heard from somebody who watched this video that when they watched it live, that everybody was silent. Legit. No joke. Everybody was silent when they saw that injury. Because we had no idea what the severity of the injury was. We figured that it wasn't going to be anything much, but man, could we be any wrong than what we were? Like, oh god. Yeah, we were in for a rude awakening if ever we ever didn't know it. Like, we were in for a rude awakening, and that's what this match definitely delivered to us. In a good and bad way, especially. Like I said, that was the most uncomfortable that I've ever been watching a wrestling match. And I've been a wrestling fan for maybe 9 to 10 years, I think. So that says a lot. Like, sure, obviously we've been in the PG era for years and years, but even then, like, there's still been, like, pretty uncomfortable matches from time to time. So in that situation, like I said before, that says a lot. That says a whole lot. Yeah, I'll forward you on to Day Day and what he thinks of what I just said. So you go now, Day Day.
Is it okay if I just skip out on this one?
Sure, whatever. I mean, we are on like 42 minutes.
Should we be cheering? Should we be watching this shit? And then out of nowhere, it just becomes like this amazing match. We're like, please, can it be over? Please, is it over? And they just kept going and going and going. And at the end, you're just like, what did I just watch? This match could have been like 5-10 minutes and everyone would have been cool, they would have been fine, but instead this ended up being a match that nobody could take their eyes off for 20 or whatever many minutes this match was. I really think this is a 5-star match, and shout out to Seth Rollins for being as safe as possible, but yo, some of those spots I'm like, how do you protect him in that? You're jamming a kendo stick into his arm, like how can
Yeah, that you can't protect him from that. You really can't. Like, I would be surprised if somebody were to say, like, yes, because keeping in mind that that's a kendo stick being jammed into his arm like that. Into the cell, by the way. So, I don't see how you can really have that be protected by any means. I just don't see how that's possible.
you be careful here? I swear to you, Vince could have been like, hey Cody, pal, we need you to fall off the cell, and could have been like, yeah, I'm down. It's all good for the love of the game. If anything, this match cemented that Vince McMahon has one son only. It ain't Triple H anymore. It's not Shane McMahon. He's been disowned.
Yeah, it's obviously not Triple H because stuff has obviously happened to him. It's never been Shane for like the past, I don't know, 5, 6 or however many years because, well, I don't need to say why. If you know, you know. And that basically boils it down to Cody. And I mean, he's not wrong. He's not wrong. Because I mean, like, I still feel like, yeah, wrestling does have a point. Like, if Cody had to, like, fall off the top of the Hell in a Cell structure, I feel like he would have been down. Because again, he said, for the love of the game. So I still feel like he would be down to have done that if he had to do that. But obviously they were never going to get him to do that. But obviously, imagine if they did. Like, I still believe that, you know, Cody would have took it in his stride and been like, okay, let's just do this thing. Doesn't really matter that I have a torn pec and it's, you know, bleeding inside from the arm down. You know, it's all cool. But yeah, all jokes aside, guys, like, yeah, like I firmly believe they probably would have went on board with that if he was told to. Don't suppose you want to say your 2 cents on what I just said, do you, Day Day, or are we just going to move on?
Just move on to the video. Through the video.
For years now, it is Cody
Fair
Rhodes,
enough.
the one and only son of Vince McMahon. A 5-star classic, and trust me, I say that with so much guilt. But what a match, yo. Only in wrestling. For better or for worse, only in wrestling will this be allowed. I truly hope he's okay. I don't know how that's possible, especially after it looked like that at the end of the match.
Yeah, he can't possibly be okay. I mean, he's had surgery on it now, so obviously he might be a little better, but that arm, that pec is gonna need to be rested for a good while. I wouldn't be surprised if that whole I wouldn't be surprised if that pec of his, along with his arm, is in like some sort of like cast or something that he's not allowed to take off. Like, I would not be surprised. Because I mean, like, it was said that he would have to rest that for like, I don't know, 3 months or maybe a little longer before he could, you know, go into rehab of that injury and, you know, get back into the swing of things and then eventually return at possibly the Royal Rumble or something of next year. So
I think he's making it come. I don't think he's gonna make it back to the Rumble, honestly.
so in that situation, what? So in that situation, having said that, and what Day Day said, yeah. So because he basically said that he don't believe that Cody will come back for the Rumble next year. But yeah. So having said all of that, yeah, I just hope he is obviously okay as he obviously can be. But yeah, his arm and pec is definitely in a cast as we speak, most likely. Because I mean, there's no way it can't be. There's no way. After that,
By the end of the match, his
Oh,
other side
gosh.
of his body was purple too. So who knows what's going on in there? I hope and I pray that he's fine and he's not out for too long, but whatever, man. Heal up, do your thing. At the end of the day, Cody Rhodes is having the run of a lifetime. Vince McMahon is so lucky that Cody decided to come at this time because right now, he is the most beloved babyface they've had since what, Daniel Bryan probably? And now, yo, it's over. After this performance, after what he did in there is not a single person who watched this show that's not gonna be a Cody Rhodes fan that is not respecting him, even if it's a tiny bit. Whenever Cody comes back, whether it's Money in the Bank somehow, I don't know what kind of steroids he needs for that to happen, whether it's the Royal Rumble, whenever
even with steroids, he's not gonna get back in the ring before or at Money in the Bank. There's no way. There's no way. That's not humanly possible. The human anatomy doesn't heal up in the drop of a hat like that from an injury that severe in the way that he got it. Like, it just doesn't happen. It just does not happen. So I highly doubt that will happen. And obviously Day Day highly doubts that he'll come back for the Rumble next year. So
I think that is that he'll probably be back will be either the Raw before the Mania or either at Elimination Chamber.
to be fair, I was venturing that he would be back the night after Mania. But who knows? Who knows? That's just obviously our opinions, and we could obviously have it all wrong.
Cody Rhodes come back, he's gonna be even bigger than his WrestleMania return, which is insane to think.
Yes, he will. Somehow he will. And I don't know how the arena is going to be able to contain all those fans that would be cheering for him when he returns. I don't know how they're going to do it, but It's wild, dude. It is wild.
Think about. But no, the only thing that's insane about this is Cody Rhodes for going out there and wrestling. I know a lot of you guys are gonna be like, oh, the match just happened, so you're being extra, it's just recency bias. Nah, man, trust me. Whoever watches live, I promise you, this is gonna be.
This is not recency bias from anyone, and I mean anyone. Like, we're all genuinely just more shocked at the fact that he was able to go through that, and therefore have a lot of respect for him, obviously. So this is far from recency bias. This is the farthest thing from recency biased. Like, simple as that. There's no other way I can really say it.
Something you're never ever gonna forget. You'll stop watching wrestling, but you're gonna remember the night you watched Cody Rhodes looking like this, going through tables and doing whatever the hell he was doing. I don't even.
Yeah, it don't matter what I end up doing in my life. It don't matter what Day or anybody else does in their lives, like 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now. We will never, ever forget this moment. Never, ever. Like, especially the people that got to watch it live. I wasn't one of them, unfortunately, but even then, like, live or not, we will never, ever forget this moment. Never, ever.
Know what to say. I was gonna watch the show, go to sleep, live my best life, but ain't nobody gonna sleep after seeing this right here. Only in wrestling. But you know what's crazy? This is how we feel. Imagine how the kids felt when they were watching King of the Ring 98 live and you see Mick Foley flying off. But anyway, to close it off, this was just a quick.
Yeah, that was also insane, but obviously that was back in the 90s, so people obviously feel that way about what happened there. But even then, like, people like me, I still wonder how the hell Mick is even walking still to this day and still being able to breathe and live to tell the tale. But either way, like, that, it, putting aside that or putting that into the conversation, like, one way or the other, yeah, the WWE made a legend out of Cody Rhodes. Even though it was Cody's choice, he became a legend in one night. Simple as that.
Video, quick thoughts and rants after the show. Shout out to Seth Rollins. He put in work, he played such an important role in this, and he deserves so much credit. Cody, he's a psycho, he's a maniac, but that's why he is and is about to be one of the biggest things in wrestling, and I think no doubt he's the biggest thing in the WWE right now. At the end of the day, I'm conflicted, I feel weird, this stuff should not be encouraged, but at the same time, we just saw a legend being made. In the comments down below, share your thoughts. I'm gonna be replying to almost every message. Let's have a
all I will say, guys, is don't, and I repeat, don't do what Cody did. Like, for better or for worse, don't. But all that aside, like, on the positive side of it, yeah, like I said, a legend has been made out of Cody Rhodes thanks to that night. Like, he became a legend after that night. No two ways about it.
Conversation on this.
A legend in his own prime as well. And there's not many wrestlers that can say that they're like that. The only person I can think of that is kind of like that is Randy Orton.
Let's basically use this as a Reddit post at this point, but yo, what a week. We had MJF the other day tweaking, we had CM Punk announcing he's injured, and now we had Cody Rhodes go in the ring like this and casually have one of the best WWE matches in a long time. Yeah, this summer is going to be crazy in the wrestling world, and I am so ready for it. Thank you guys for watching.
And it already has been crazy. And about the MJF thing, yeah, the guy wasn't holding anything back. He seriously wasn't. And I mean, he spoke his mind, and it was gonna come out eventually. And I mean, like, what can I say? The guy obviously got mad at Tony Khan for not obviously paying him as much as he should be getting paid or more. Like, and that's completely understandable when you're doing great stuff in the company that you're doing great stuff in for the person that is in ownership of that company. So he obviously had every right to just go completely mental on that night on AEW. I can't remember what pay-per-view it was or whatever it was, but either way, on that night, like, he had every right to go off like he did. But yeah, I guess before I end the video, I'll see what Day Day thinks of that MJF situation. So go right ahead, Day Day.
Okay, so you talking about the whole AEW situation about him saying what he said on AEW Dynamite?
Yeah, I basically went on about that, briefly, and therefore I'm obviously trying to get your point of view onto it.
Okay, my opinion, because I didn't watch it live, but I've heard about it because I saw my Twitter was exploding about, hey, did you hear what MJF said on AEW Dynamite? So I went to go preview the clip, and I think that it was a great strategy because I think that they're trying to mimic what WWE did with the whole Sasha Banks Naomi situation.
To be fair, I would say that AEW did it better. In fact, I would go as far as to say that that whole MJF pipe bomb thing is better than the CM Punk one. I am actually saying that. I never thought in a million years, in like 11 years time, that we would find a better pipe bomb than what CM Punk did, but we did. And it didn't even come from the same company. I don't I don't know what to say, guys. It is just wild. This summer in wrestling is, oh my god. Like, it's some of the wildest stuff that I've seen over my tenure as a wrestling fan. Easily. Some of the most wildest stuff. And trust me, there has been some wild stuff that I've seen during that whole tenure, but I don't think any of them really compare to this. And I'm sure I could say that about other things down the road, but I genuinely mean it. Like, all of this stuff is just unnatural on so many different levels. So many. And it's going to be interesting. It is going to be interesting. But yeah, having said that, if you guys enjoyed this video on the whole Cody Rhodes deal, the rest of Hell in a Cell was fine. It was kind of whatever, but obviously the thing that everybody's going to remember is going to be this match and the total sacrifice that Cody made. And I suppose the women's match as well, because that was great too. But yeah, that's going to get heavily overshadowed by this match and the will that Cody Rhodes drove himself to compete in this match with. But no offense to obviously the women, but either way, if you guys enjoyed this video, like, comment, subscribe, share the videos, favorite videos. If we could get out to 60 likes, that'll be great. And yeah, ciao guys. Are you gonna say bye, Day Day?
Oh, bye, people.
Anyway, see you guys.